Good evening and welcome to the Stephen Leeson Show with you live from the Scientology Community Centre here in Dublin. And tonight we have a very special artist to entertain you, classical crossover singer Grace Foley, and she's a native of Killarney. She's studied singing since the age of 14 with some of Ireland's leading professionals, including the late Aine Nic Ghabhann, James Nelson and Irish soprano Virginia Kerr. Grace performs in venues all across Ireland and abroad, and she features regularly on RTÉ TV and radio, Lyric FM, and many other local radio stations across Ireland. From years of performing multiple cover songs, Grace has developed a unique style of classical crossovers, and her releases include To Kerry, Time for Christmas, Unleashed. Her new album, Unmasked, which features 12 tracks, was just released on November 28th. And one of the tracks is Phil Coulter's Remember Me, which Phil gave his seal of approval. In November 2021, just last month, Grace appeared on the TV show Last Singer Standing, singing Elton John's Your Song, which she dedicated to her little baby Anna. She's here with us tonight to sing for you. Please welcome the beautiful Grace Foley.
Thank you so much, Stephen. It is an honour to perform here for you today, and I do look forward to, in the future, hopefully performing for all of you lovely people and see all your lovely faces here live in this great venue. But for now, this is a great opportunity to share my music with you today. I'm going to start off with a very Irish set. I always say that our Irish people are really good at doing great fun and really sad. So I'm going a little bit the sad route to start off this evening with my little set of very different songs, I think. I'm going to start off with the very beautiful Raglan Road, based on the poem, of course, by the wonderful Patrick Kavanagh. And this is a story of the worst type of love, the unrequited love. So this is Raglan Road. On Raglan Road of an autumn day, I saw her first and knew that her dark hair would weave a snare that I might one day rue. I saw the danger and I passed along the enchanted way, and I said, let grief be a fallen leaf at the dawning of the day. On Grafton Street in November, we tripped lightly along the ledge of a deep ravine where can be seen the worth of passions pledged, the Queen of Hearts still making tarts, and I not making hay. Oh, I loved too much, and by such is happiness thrown away. I gave her gifts of the mind, I gave her the secret sign that's known to the artists who have known the true gods of sound and stone, and her words and tint without stint I gave her poems to say, with her own name there and her own dark hair, like clouds over fields of May. On a quiet street where old ghosts meet, I see her walking now, away from me so hurriedly, my reason must allow that I have loved not as I should, a creature made of clay. When the angel woos, the clay lose his wings at the dawn of day. Thank you very much. And that was, it's such a moving song, but it's definitely a person scorned by love. And thankfully my next song isn't of an unrequited love, but it is probably one of the most epic Irish songs ever written. It is again a love song with sadness, but a very different type of love song. This is the love of somebody who misses someone greatly. Perhaps they've moved to another country forever, maybe they'll never see them again. But it's such a famous song, but I think if you can get to the heart of this song, you've captured the essence of it. And that's why in my recording and in my version I'm about to sing for you, I've inserted a heartbeat into this. And this is my version of the very famous Danny Boy. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, and all the flowers are dying. If I am dead, as dead I well may be, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say, an Ave there for me, and I shall hear the soft you tread above me, and oh my grave will warmer, sweeter be, if you will bend and tell me that you love me, and I shall sleep in peace until you come to Thank you very much. It's thirsty work singing Danny Boy. Now for my next song, I'm going to go a lot further into the future, and I'm going to sing a song by one of my favourite Irish bands, Codeline. Again, it's interesting going from Danny Boy to a song that's contemporary, because it's modern, it's completely different, but the sentiment is there. This song is called All I Want, and I guess you could see it as someone's had a breakup and they would give anything to have them back. To me, and because I do think of certain members of my family, especially my late grandmother, whose anniversary occurs around this time, you just want a little bit more time with that person who meant the world to you. So this is a beautiful song by Codeline called All I Want.
Is nothing more to hear you knocking at my door. 'Cause if I could see your face once more, I could die a happy girl, I'm sure. When you said your last goodbye, I died a little bit inside, and I lay in tears in bed all night, alone without you by my side. But if you loved me, why'd you leave me? Take my body, take my body. All I want is, and all I need is, to find somebody, won't find somebody like you. You brought out the best of me, a part of me I've never seen. You took my soul and wiped it clean. Oh, our love was made for movie screens. But if you loved me, why'd you leave me? Take my body, take my body. All I want is, and all I need is, to find somebody, won't find somebody like you. Like you.
Thank you very much. For my next song, we're going to kick up the speed and all that a little bit. And we're sticking with an Irish song and a song by a very famous Irish band. And one of the last times I got to perform live in front of a phenomenal amount of people was in December 2019. I sang this song on the streets of Grafton Street, and it was just incredible. And I never thought that I'd go from that to singing in my living room for the bones of 2 years. But this song is, in my mind, the anthem for the artist who continues to create and to perform during these very, very hard times, because no matter how many times you try to walk away from music as an artist, you'll always come back to it because we can't live with or without it. This is the famous song by U2, With or Without You.
See the stone set in your eyes, see the thorn twist in your side. I'll wait for you. Sleight of hand and twist of fate, on a bed of nails he makes me wait. And I'll wait without you, with or without you, with or without you. Through the storm we reach the shore. You give it all, but I want more. And I'm waiting for you, with or without you, with or without you. I can't live with or without you. And you give yourself away, and you give yourself away. You give, you give, you give yourself away. My hands are tied, my body bruised. He's got me with nothing to win and nothing left to lose. You give yourself away, you give yourself away, you give, you give, you give yourself away. With or without you, with or without you, I can't live. With or without you, with or without you. I can't live with or without you.
an extraordinary version of With or Without You, and absolutely beautiful version of it. Not an easy song to sing. I know that from learning the song myself, and I love Grace's rendition of it, and the statement that she made, that she dedicated to all the musicians and entertainers who have been performing throughout the pandemic, with the position that we've been put in. Thank you for joining me, Grace.
Thank you for having me.
It's a very, very true statement that you said there about the song even means more to me now, even after you saying that. Like, you know, I think it's a great song. Like, it's not an easy song to sing, is it, With or Without You? Like, you know, I don't think anyone realises that until you learn the song yourself.
It goes from all the way down there
Yep.
to all the way up there and all the places in between. You don't miss one part of the voice in that song. But as you said, I think it means, well, certainly the way I feel it when I sing it, and I think even recently it means even more. It's our anthem, I think.
Yeah, it's like, as I said, for me now, that's like, I'm not going to forget that you said that about that particular song as well. Like, you know, what about like you're saying about the different songs? Like, you know, they are extremely different songs from what you started off, like Raglan Road. You're starting off, like, you know. So give us a little bit more info on why this choice of songs that you chose even for tonight.
Yeah, I go with my heart and my gut. Always, always, always. Whether it works in my favour or not, I always think if you're true to yourself. So, like, you know, songs like Raglan Road, you could just sing Raglan Road and Danny Boy because people love it, and people who visit Ireland love them. But you have to love them yourself, and I kind of pretty much refuse to sing songs that I don't at least really like. They're all four of those are my new album, so I obviously love them. And they are very different. But I think if you get to the heart of any song, and all four of those I feel have so much heart. One's a broken heart, one's missing somebody, another one's missing somebody, but a very modern song. And then the last one is just, I guess, frustration, but a love for music in that one. So it's just love, love, love.
The arrangement, I noticed, particularly of Danny Boy, even the beat, like, you know, is that your own thing that you had wanted? Like, it's like the heartbeat or something like that is what I was thinking, even, like, you know.
It's the heartbeat of it, yeah. I was working with Brendan O'Connor in Little Dillon Studios in Killarney, and I came up with this idea. I said, could we have a heartbeat in it? And at the start, he was like, oh, is it going to be in rhythm or is it going to be at the tempo of the song? That didn't work because it sounded like a really random drum. And I said, I wanted to feel really like a heartbeat. So at the start, it was actually quite hard to sing with because you have to kind of let it be part of the song without following it because it's not the beat of the song, as you can hear. But to me, I think Danny Boy, if it's just stripped back, I think it should be stripped right back. And I thought, it's got great heart, so why not have a heartbeat in it? And another musician said to me recently, she said, why didn't I think of that? Because I haven't actually heard it done. I'm sure it's been done very often before, but I thought it was something a bit different, and I'm really proud of that. And I think it's just really brings you right down to what the song is actually about.
Yeah, it's like you've almost mixed modern, like bringing that beat in with it, like as well as like old classical style, which I wanted to ask you a bit about the crossover, the classical crossover, to explain a little bit and give me more of it. Is that what it is? Like,
yeah, it's classical crossover, yeah, and a lot of people say, why did you decide to do that? I didn't decide to become a classical crossover singer. I never made that decision. I always loved to sing. I'm an only child. I was extremely shy. Hard to believe when you see people on stage, but extremely shy as a child. And I started singing lessons with Aine Nic Ghabhann at the age of 14. And at that stage, it was just classical training. That's just the type of training I got. I've got an unusual voice type that I'm a contralto, so it's the lowest female voice. She was also a contralto, which was very unusual to have two of us in the one room at the same time. Usually that means something will explode if that happens, because it's so rare. But you had two contraltos in one room, very unusual, which made my voice very, I suppose, attractive to people in that industry, because they said, oh, this is very unusual. And I just went down a path, because my voice took me on a path more so than a decision I made. So I went on to study music at the Royal Irish Academy of Music. And after that, I decided that I wanted to take some time out from singing. And I realised then, I love listening to Glenn Hansard and Damien Rice and all those. And I thought, like, that's what I want to sing. But I'm classically trained, and I didn't want to change my voice because that is who I am now. Yeah. So I basically am a classically trained singer who sings some classical material, and it's something that I wouldn't write off doing again, but I sing songs I love with a classical twist, I guess.
Well, I tell you what, will you take the stage again, sing some more songs for us, and then come back to me and we'll dig deep and find out more about you then.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for coming, especially from coming all the way from Killarney as well. Like, you're not going to feel this day when it's in. The next songs that we're going to have Grace sing is Together Apart, Mary Did You Know, Silent Night, good song for this time of year, and Remember Me, which is the Phil Coulter one that she was mentioning, and I want to talk to her about Phil Coulter maybe a little bit later. So the stage is yours again, Grace. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to start the next set with, it is a song by an Irish singer-songwriter. It's a song by myself. I wrote this at the very beginning of the pandemic. I know we're sick of hearing about this at this stage, but it does, I suppose it means a lot to me, and it brings me back to a different time. And I was at home and I thought, what can I say? What can I bring to the table? I was looking up different songs and I thought, you know what, why don't I sit down and try writing? I'd done very little writing before this. I sat down at the piano. This came out really, really fast. I needed to say something. And I recorded the vocal in my wardrobe. So I just parted all the clothes to two sides, stuck my head in, used a voice recorder, sent that to my studio in Dublin, and this happened. So this is my own composition. This is Together Apart. The clock ticks, minute by minute, hour by hour, giving us more time for today, giving us more time for tomorrow. Who are we today? Who are we today? My friends, I'll stay away to hold you close. My love, this distance brings us closer in the end. And who we are today, who we are today, my friends, our hearts can lead, our minds are lost. Show love to those who were here from the start. Together apart, together apart, together apart, we're together apart. And come what may, come what may, my friends, once again I'll hold you close. Our world we will sing together in the end. Together apart, together apart, together apart, we're together apart. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm still relatively new to songwriting, but that one will always hold a very special place in my heart. Now, given the time of year that we find ourselves in, I'm going to go a little bit more of a festive route. This song I recorded last year, and funnily enough, a lot of people have said they don't know it. This is a gorgeous song. People have asked me if I wrote it. I didn't. I wish I had. I recorded it last year while pregnant. I hadn't told the world I was pregnant at that stage, so I was a bit emotional singing it last year. I'm even more emotional singing it today as a new mommy. But this is a song about, you know, the whole Christmas story boils down to the fact that it's about a baby that we're talking about, and I suppose I feel that very much now in my heart. And this is Mary, Did You Know?
Did you know that your baby boy would one day walk on water? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would save our sons and daughters? Did you know that your baby boy has come to make you new? This child that you delivered will soon deliver you. Mary, did you know that your baby boy would give sight to a blind man? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would calm the storm with his hand? Did you know that your baby boy has walked where angels trod? And when you kiss your little baby, you kiss the face of God. Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know? The blind will see, the deaf will hear, the dead will live again. The lame will leap, the dumb will speak, the praises of the Lamb. Mary, did you know that your baby boy is Lord of all creation? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would one day rule the nations? Did you know that your baby boy is heaven's perfect love? That sleeping child you're holding is the great I am. Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know?
Thank you very much. Now, my next Christmas song is an oldie but a goodie, and I think, again, a bit like my version of Danny Boy, I wanted to strip this right back to what it's all about. I made a beautiful music video for this. It was actually the first day they announced that the whole country was going to close down, and it was really strange. We had the whole town to ourselves, and it was just so beautiful, and I think we captured the mood. So I'm going to do this a cappella today. I hope you'll enjoy it. This is my version of The Beautiful Silent Night. Silent night, holy night, all is calm,
weekday. Soon, disherein, dishistilsche vaderless bear. Nin Aine Nic Ghabhann the square. Grace noch nach alle geschehen. Silent night, holy night, shepherds quake at the sight, glory stream from heaven afar, heavenly hosts sing hallelujah. Christ the Savior is born. Christ the Savior is born.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Grace. What a voice, especially to hear it as clear and crystal clear as that a cappella. And I'm going to have to ask Grace a couple of questions about the songs again, especially the ones there. I normally request we're staying away from religion, away from politics, the whole lot, but Grace, I have to ask you about Mary Did You Know, because I never heard that song before.
Yeah, I heard it. The Pentatonics, I'm not sure if you've heard of those. They're a vocal group. I think they're in America.
Oh, I have heard them. I've seen
Yeah.
them, yeah, because we had a band on here before, Virtuoso,
Okay.
and they were doing some of the same arrangements, the songs that they were doing. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
they do
okay.
incredible arrangements.
Yeah,
So I heard
brilliant,
this,
like.
and what they do obviously is put a few voices together and make it sound amazing. But
Yeah.
I thought the sentiment, and I thought there was loads of heart in it. And again, I'd heard of it before, vaguely. But like a lot of great songs, I couldn't understand how it wasn't better known.
Yeah.
I know you said, I don't think you'd heard it before.
No, a powerful song
it's a
as
powerful
well. Like,
song.
yeah.
So I've no idea why it isn't better known, but a lot of people have asked me, did I write it? No. I wish I had.
Yeah,
But
and
no, it's
Is it a classical kind of song, or who wrote the song, or do you know?
Actually,
who wrote
I'm
it,
actually,
or
off the top
is
of my
it-
head, I can't think of who wrote it. But no, it wouldn't be considered like no, it's certainly not something I learned in my classical years.
Okay.
No,
Is it
doesn't
gone
matter, I
traditional?
guess.
Like, is it over 100 years old? Like,
No,
or
I
is
think
it-
it's quite a new song. I
It
think it's
is?
quite a new
Okay,
song. Well,
okay.
relatively new song.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not ancient or anything. It's still in license.
Interesting.
If that
And
helps.
the version that you heard from Pentatonics, I wonder where they got it from then, I suppose, yeah.
I don't know. I had heard of it years ago. It wasn't brand new to me, but I hadn't heard a lot of artists do it. I maybe it's bigger in other countries, perhaps. I don't know, but there's definitely versions of it out there. It's not completely unknown, but it seems to be unknown in this country. I've
Okay, well,
noticed.
you're making it known anyway. So that's good, like, you know, yeah. Did I hear you say there you've done a video for Silent Night, or did you do a video for that?
For Silent Night.
Silent
For Silent
Night,
Night,
okay, yeah. When was that released there?
That was released in December last year. So it went down really, really well. It was shared on Irish Post and Irish Central, and all those shared it. And it's just, I think again, it's just the simplicity of it. Like songs like Danny Boy and Silent Night, they're epic, but they're actually very simple. Well, they're not easy to sing, but they're simple, and the sentiment is simple. And we kept the video like literally me walking around empty streets. And what was really weird is in the run up to that, with my videographer, Kieran, we said, are we going to get an empty road? And my God, we got in a whole empty town.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everyone was gone. Everyone got the fright of their lives. I mean, everything was announced that day. The country was in a pandemic. Everything was locking down, and it was that
Right.
night. It was up until midnight, and we were done. And everyone went home, and the streets were empty. And the video has a shot of some deer walking around literally the middle of Killarney town, just near the cathedral. And people said, where did you get that stock footage? That happened. I don't know if people will ever believe me, but my videographer is from up the country, and we were driving along, and he said, oh my God, there's deer. Now, Killarney have a lot of deer, but even for us to see them where we saw them was incredibly unusual. And I think it was already, we could see when people got out of the way, that the wildlife decided just to come out, you know, like, and
Right.
it was just, that would not have happened. There should have been some traffic up and down that road. So if you do see the video, the deer did come out and join us that night,
I'll
and it was
definitely
literally us
have a
and the deer. So
It was meant to be. It was meant to be. Then, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Sometimes that's what happens, isn't it? Like,
Exactly.
no.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you earlier because we were talking too much about songs, but give us a bit about your own background, because you're coming from Killarney, and you drove from Killarney today even, like, you know, it's what, 4 hours?
Yeah, 3.5, 4 hours.
3.5 hours, yeah.
We got here, we made a straight route today, so it was good. But yeah, I live in Killarney in County Kerry, and I think it's a beautiful part of the world. It is a little further away from the capital than I'd like, but I always said my aim is to base myself there as much as possible with family and then move about. I think people sometimes think that Kerry is, like when I was in college, people used to say, gosh, you're going home. And they used to think it took me about 7 hours to get home. And I said, I'm not using a donkey, I am
well,
actually
maybe years
using
ago it did, when it, like, you know, so when you get to kind of Limerick and head down, it's not as straightforward as going over.
No, I used to get the train, so
okay.
a line, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
but
so
I did.
bad,
I'm a very, very, very proud Kerry woman. Always have been. I used to
for
write
you, yeah.
songs for the Kerry football team when I was a kid. That's where I've done everything really. You know, I was just obsessed with football when I was a kid. Being from Kerry, I suppose it's in the blood. One of my cousins based for Kerry, Gavin Crowley. So like, I'm a really proud Kerry woman, and actually all my music videos so far
give us your best Kerry accent, because there's some parts of Kerry I can't even understand.
I'd put on this one all right if I kind of thicken it up a small bit. Like, but we don't speak like that.
But you know, when you do, like, I remember looking up one time, like, I think it was YouTube videos or something like that for the Kerry accent, the ones that you can't understand, like, you know, like that, and it's like, wow.
Well, we have to slow down, because every time I came back to college, after even a long weekend, I'd come in and they'd say, you'd know Grace had been home, because I'd be so we do have to slow down. We're quite fast.
Okay.
And we can be, I'm not too bad, but I know some people are a little harder to understand in County Kerry.
The west part, like, you know, you've got some set of lungs, I have to say, like, you know, and I even had it written down. Make sure you mention the lungs, Steve, like, for myself to mention it, because it is, like, you know, the power you're getting, like, with the voice. I know you said it's a lower voice for a female, you were saying that it is, like, you know, even though you're hitting some high notes as well, like, you know. But
that's a little confusing when I say that, because I know I'm hitting high notes, but there's a different quality to my voice as well. Like, you probably would have heard of sopranos, and tenors are probably the most famous voice types. So you hear like 3 Irish tenors, and Catherine Jenkins, for example, the classical singer, she's a mezzo-soprano, so she's just very, very similar. So key-wise in songs, we wouldn't be miles apart. I might be slightly lower, but the quality is different. So my voice is much darker than hers, and I would have a slightly lower range, but it's a colour thing. There are obviously high notes that I can't get, the sopranos can get.
Yeah.
There's low notes that I can get, that sopranos can't get. But there is.
But within a key, you're still able to get
Yes,
you can take songs from a different key that someone's singing really high, but you bring it down to your own key, obviously,
Exactly.
and then you're still able to hit the notes, like,
Yeah.
You know, and the power that you're getting from the voice, is that from the training? Like, you
That's
know?
training.
Training,
I
okay.
find pair of ribs, you know, like, it's amazing when you do train classically, because your body shape changes an awful lot as well. Like, classical singers tend to be, even the really petite ones tend to have quite a big rib cage. So you're trained to sing in a big room like this. We're never trained to work with mics, so that takes us a while. And people who work with mics with classical singers are probably going, oh my God, will you please? And it's kind of, you know, you're trying to learn to not need a mic for years, and then you get handed a mic and you're not used to it. So you're trained to sing to very big rooms and to sing over an orchestra. That's what it is, basically. You're trying to give yourself that power. Obviously, I don't do that anymore, but the power is there. If I were to go back into more heavy classical material, I would have to go back into training, because it's literally, and you know yourself from being a musician, like, it's a sport, and classical singing is a tough version of that sport. Like, it is very, very physical, and it takes an awful lot of stamina that takes years to build up. So it does mean that your lungs you're using the bottom of your lungs. So like, doesn't necessarily mean our lungs are bigger, but you send the air right to the bottom, get those ribs out.
As opposed to from your throat, obviously,
exactly,
So it's classical music, I suppose, when you compare it to dancing, they say ballet. If you can ballet dance, you can learn to do anything with it being classical singing, like, you know. And how old did you start when you were?
I was age 14 when I started with Aine Nic Ghabhann,
Okay, 14. So you were quite late, I suppose, really, like, for music, like, you know.
There was nothing there. I always sang. I was in musicals, the Killarney Musical Society, and bits
no, just, I mean, you know, when you hear other kids, like, they're like, 7 years of age is the age to kind of start her for that, you know.
It's changed, I think it's changed. I think because there's singing lessons available now. Like, I've done some singing teaching over the years as well, and like, you do get much younger children, but actually classical training should not be done that early. Actually, like, really proper classical, even like at age 14, you have to be careful, because like any athlete, again, it's the same thing. The voice is not developed properly. You have to be very, very careful. Sometimes you will see on talent shows these really extraordinary 10-year-olds, and they're singing like Pavarotti, and like, I do worry, because that's not where their voice would naturally, I don't think, be at. But then, of course, there are some people that are just born that way.
Do you think it'll affect their throat, or affect it, like?
It could affect the vocal cords, because they're not fully developed like everything else, you know, in the body to carry that kind of sound. I would always wonder, God, how is that there already, you know? So, and the voice will change, like my voice type, especially my type of voice, contralto, doesn't actually fully mature or even kind of start to really come into its own until you're 30. So I'm 35. I've lost track of age. I think I'm 35. So I'm off the other good side of it. But it's a very frustrating voice when you're younger because high notes are tough and you have a very heavy voice. So that takes a long time. But contraltos come into their own as they get older.
And anytime you're doing a gig, don't mind me asking, do you warm up the vocal cords all the time? I did hear you earlier, but just out of interest, is that every time you think that's what you're advised to do, like, you know? Cause
I think everyone should.
A lot of people don't, like, you know, I'm guilty, like, you know, I was singing at 9:30 this morning, like, you know, and I didn't know.
Your poor vocal cords get an awful
freezing
fright.
as well, like, you know.
They get a fright because they're not like, you know, in the morning when you wake up and you go to say something or you answer the phone, morning, and you know, that's because they're not warmed up, they're not stretched. Same as athletes.
It's funny you say that. I got a phone call this morning about 8 o'clock and I was like, before I answered I was like, hello, 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 to see if my voice was working, that didn't sound like I was actually lying in bed when I answered the phone, like, you know.
We all do that. It's like, oh God, I shouldn't be in bed this late. Well, I don't anymore because I have a baby, but I remember those days, I'm up early most mornings now.
That was quite funny. You've been regularly featured on RTE, Lyric FM. That's cool, like, to be getting that. Is that from the albums that you've released already that you're getting paid on?
My last EP, Unleashed, I need to get my names right. So there's Unleashed, the newest one is Unmasked. Unleashed, I sent it like everybody else around to a number of radio stations, but with my style, Lyric FM is kind of the only home, Radio 1 probably, and Lyric FM. And then within Lyric FM, Marty Whelan is your only man, and you're just hoping that he'll listen to you. And he did. And I got a call, literally, it was a couple of days, and they said, can you be in the studio on Wednesday? And this was a couple of days beforehand. And I could not believe it. I just couldn't believe I was finally getting to meet Marty Whelan. You always kind of send off loads of CDs and you send off loads of things, but when something actually happens, you get an awful fright. So we went to Dublin back in the good old days when you could go into the studio, and I remember sitting there, like, my husband turned 10 and Marty was
how old were you then? When was this?
This is only, 3 or 4 years, 3 years ago,
okay,
so it's not that long ago, but God, I wouldn't say probably did get a bit starstruck because Marty Whelan is even nicer in the flesh. And when you see him right there, you're like, oh, that's him. Because I suppose he's a bit like that Gay Byrne vibe of like, God, like they're living legends, like, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was so lovely. He gave me even afterwards, he said, stick around, I'll have a chat, give you some advice. He was so lovely, so warm, like a half an hour interview. And then I got a text from Marty Whelan a few days later. He said, I want to make your EP a Marty Recommends, which is huge. So it was recommended by him. I think 2 weeks later, he played my songs every morning, and that was absolutely amazing. So it's, you plug on. There's loads of days when nothing happens, but things like that make you want to keep going.
Huge compliment, though, isn't it? Like, it's the bad comment that you might get, or you have to have a hard neck, obviously, being in the music industry, like, you know, but it's things like that that really just keeps you going, like, and keeps you tough. As you say, keeping back to the with or without you, keeping tough during the pandemic. You were doing lots of Facebook gigs during the pandemic, you told me, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think in some ways, I guess it's with my genre again of music, I don't get to do regular, like, pub gigs, or I'm not in a band, so it was the most regular I got to sing, even though it just kind of kept me going. And I had this like group of people that tuned in every week, my own family, my friends, strangers. I built up a really nice fan base during that time because people appreciated just a break from the news. I'd be like, let's just walk away from it. And I would chat and have the crack. And I learned so many songs during that time because I wanted to keep it fresh. So literally all week, all I did was learn new songs. And then I suppose I did a little bit of writing. I wish I'd kind of done more writing, but I didn't do a lot of writing, but I did a lot of learning about my own voice, learning how to pare things back a bit, because you're singing into a phone, so you can't belt it out like you can here today. You know, you have to be careful. And that's actually a hard thing to adjust back to, I find, you know, because you've gotten to sing a little smaller and now you have to sing bigger again. So it was an adjustment, especially for classical singers, because there's nothing worse than sitting at home listening to Facebook and then and everything's peaking and distorting left, right and centre. So I did that, and one of my performances from my living room was on national television as well, which was very random. It was on with Maura and Dahi on the RTE afternoon show, the Today Show, and it was me and my dog Kerry. Because when I sent in my song, I said, look, I'll put I got my dogs always here when I'm singing. They said, bring the dog in. So I was sitting there with them on a screen. It was very unusual, you know. You never think it's going to happen in your life that you're going to do this. And my dog takes no notice of me singing. So I sang, and she looked like she was drugged. And people text me afterwards and they said, that's not a real dog. And I said, that, and she says, no. I said, she just is used to me singing, because they could, like they said, is your dog all right? And I said, she just doesn't care. I sing all the time. But she was comatose on my lap. So she was supposed to be like a really funny thing, cute thing, that she'd sit up and look around. No, Kerry was unconscious.
Didn't move at all.
Didn't move at all, like at all. I was like, I should have.
And that's on national TV. And you're like,
is your dog okay? But that was great.
But isn't it amazing to think that, like, to get on RTE, like, and you think, like, you've got to come into the studio, you've, like, there's no way that you'd be able to send a video in, or you'd be live from your own home, and that it would actually make it on television, and how the times have changed, and the pandemic made it change for the better, I suppose. Like, you know, you didn't have to travel all the way up to Dublin,
it would have been nice to be in the
or was it
studio,
Cork? Were they based in Cork?
They're Cork. I think they're
okay,
Cork.
so not
I mean,
too far,
like,
yeah.
it would be lovely to be there. But as you said, it's an opportunity. There was several things that would have happened that definitely would not have happened had things been normal.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not a great world to live in, but like, at least you try and look back and think, well, that opportunity was there, and that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Can I ask you about your songwriting? Together Apart, was that the name of the song?
Yeah,
like, you know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really, really good. When did you write that song?
I wrote that, I think it was the very, very start of the pandemic, literally the first couple of weeks, because every artist was putting up something, putting up a song, Wonderful World, or Somewhere Over the Rainbow, or something like that, and I thought, God, I was searching through my book of songs, and I said, what could I do? And I said, why am I trying to use somebody else's words to express how I feel? The only other song I had really properly written before, and it was a co-write, was Close the Door, and it was in aid of the Simon communities a couple of years ago. And it was me and my lovely producer, Dave McEwen, wrote it together. I basically I'm a lyrics woman. I did a little bit of melody work on it, but this one was all me. I was
but
like,
even the title is really catchy, like, you know, like Together Apart. I thought it was very good, very good. Yeah.
I didn't really engage the brain too much. It's heart. So I kind of write from the heart. I've tried to do like, this is songwriting time, and I sit down and nothing will happen. But if I can just get a feeling for something, or something happens in my life, or I hear about something, and I guess I thought that was that feeling of like, we have to feel like we're all in this together without saying we're all in this together. And that's what came. Even the speaking bit at the start, like, I don't even know how.
The title of the song, even, it was me thinking, that's interesting, like Together Apart, like, when it makes you think even as well.
Yeah.
Well, your introductions are absolutely phenomenal, brilliant, like, you know.
Thank you.
Like, there's so many people coming here every week, like, you know, and I'm saying to them, just be yourself, be that, like, what you were. Your introductions they're excellent, like, you know, and it's really entertaining, and it's interesting, and it keeps the interest, just to compliment you as much as I can, because I really mean that the intros are really cool, like, you know. Now, I also wanted to ask you about your song that the finale that you're going to do. Phil Coulter, and he gave his final approval and stamped your song that you sang on. Did you say to me it was on Eurostar?
Yeah, I was 16. My God, if I look at that clip now, I feel for that girl, because I didn't realise how young I was until now when I look back on it, and I look like a baby. And my mom said, I was following the Celtic Tenors journey at the time. I went to see them. My mom got me tickets for me and my singing teacher. She said, it'd be nice for the two of you to go and see something. And I saw the Celtic Tenors perform in the Aine Nic in Killarney, and I just fell in love with what they did. So I guess even at the start, when you asked me, did you choose to be, I guess I probably did, when I was 16 or 15, 16, decide to be, in my own mind, I'd love to be a class. I want to be what they are. I didn't know what that was. I wanted to sing with this style because I thought that was really interesting and I knew it suited me, but I wasn't entirely sure how I'd fit in the classical world, but I knew I wanted to do what they did. And one of the songs they sing, and it's their song, Phil Coulter wrote it, but the Celtic Tenors, they're one of the, it's not performed that much, and it should be. But at the time, Mom said, look, Phil Coulter's coming to the Europe Hotel in Fossa, which is where I'm from, and only down the road, and she said, would you go down? It's some singing competition called Eurostar. They're looking for someone for the Eurovision, but look, why don't you just go and sing for him, and just don't worry about the competition part of it. So I went and I sang for him, and he said at the time, like, there's beautiful comments, and he said he'll always remember me, which was lovely at the time. And he said, you know, I've been for that competition at the time.
It's lovely now even to look back.
It's so special to look back at it. It's really special, and I don't know why I didn't do anything with it for a year. I think it was supposed to come at the right time. It was always just there in the back of my head. It was one of my favourite songs, and I never recorded it, never really performed it that much live. I don't know. I think it was just meant to happen this year, so I recorded it this year. I wanted it to be special. I wanted strings on it. I wanted live strings. I wanted everything to be very real. I'd harp on it. Amazing musicians that we recorded with in Dublin, and it was the bigger budget song on the album, because I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. And I said, this is the one I want to. And I got some funding from the Kerry County Arts as well, so that all went to that one song. And it was just a great experience. I actually dedicated to my poor late cousin Michael Crowley, passed away. He's only a year older than me. He passed away a few months ago, and I dedicated the song to him, and we made a lovely video just a few months later. Thank you very much. We gathered around a fire and we made a video of all of us together, because it's been very hard for people to mourn, and during these, it's always hard to mourn, but in the last couple of years, I think it's just been awful. Like in Ireland, we give great send-offs to the people that we love, and we haven't been able to do that. So we kind of wanted to mark that with, we sat around a fire, we had a couple of drinks, we told stories, we laughed, we cried, and that's very real, and we made a video of that. Phil Coulter, I tagged him in it, he saw it, he shared it, he loves it.
Ah, brilliant.
So it's just been, that's been such a highlight of my whole year, basically. Yeah.
Such a compliment.
Oh, huge.
Albums, you've done 4 of them. I asked you, are you going to do, is another one coming up or what's happening? Like,
I mentioned to you earlier on, if we start talking about another album, I will be divorced by the time I get home. I mean, of course, in the back of my head, we'll say it's the back of my head, I would love to. I mean, recording is lovely.
So, as you said yourself, you just can't walk away from it. Like, as much as you
I got to do some performing live. If I get some paid gigs, then I'll make another one. But when things open up, I would love to. I guess there's always something you haven't done in terms of recording. But what my dream now, please, oh God, I hope next year will be different, is to get back on stage and get to sing these songs and cherish them, because it's very easy as an artist to say recorded, done, and you know yourself, when you're finished recording something, you've kind of been on a whole journey with those songs. Sometimes you can walk away from them for a bit just to say, but I really want them to go on stages with me next year. That's my hope. So my Christmas EP is volume 1. I did that knowing I had a plan in the future. So I'm hoping to do a volume 2 for my Christmas EP. What year that will be, I don't know. I'm not committing myself.
Okay, you don't want to put the date on it yet, should I? Okay, fair enough. And is Silent Night, the one that you did last year, the video that's on YouTube or whatever, is it, like, for people to find you? And
that's on The Time for Christmas, as is my own other song, Goodbye to Dublin. That's a Christmas song, and I recorded that last year as well, and that was funded by the Arts Council. That was really, really great.
Really lucky to get the funding from the Arts Council as well.
It's so hard. I mean, that again, was just, it's such a hard slog to get that, and I used that money to record that song, Goodbye to Dublin, and my own other song, Caught Up, which is a song basically about my journey with mental health, and like a really honest song about that part of my life. So I've written 4, co-wrote one, but I've written 3 very, very different songs, and I'm proud of all of them, and I've recorded all of them. So I really need to get back writing, I think, next year a bit as well.
Come here, I'm really forgetting to ask you about the series you've been on just lately on RTE, because we had Ciara here a couple of weeks ago on this show as well. Yeah. How was that? Isn't it? Because I was watching you singing, and how was it as a game show singing? What sort of experience was that?
It was. Do you know what? It was actually a wonderful experience, because it's not something I ever saw myself doing, just because I wouldn't want it, just the nerve to do something like anything that could look like a talent show. They get a bad name, but this was very much advertised as this is fun, and they very much pushed that we want people to sound good, we're not going to be digging in any gossip or anything like that. It's fun.
Did you just sign up for it, or did you?
Yeah, I did it when Anna, my baby, was sleeping one day. My husband said, why don't you just, for the crack, just do something different, just do something mad and just apply. And I was like, I don't know. And then she was sleeping, and I couldn't move because she was a very light sleeper, and I was watching her sleeping away. And then I thought, you know what? I want her to grow up and try things, and not. I think it's very hard as a parent to say, oh, follow your dreams and try different things and take risks. If I don't do that, well, then she's never going to do it. And I thought, well, then why not? Why not do it now?
Yeah.
When she's a baby, and say I did it then. So I filled out a really long application form, and by the time I did the end of it, I just kind of pressed send and then kind of sat there and didn't say anything. And then hours later, I said, John, I'm after applying for that TV show, and I didn't think much more of it. A week later, I got a call for an interview over Zoom, and that went really well. And then I got called for an audition, which was gas, because I haven't auditioned for anything. So nothing's been happening. So again,
when
it was
you got the call on Zoom, did you have to sing on Zoom as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But I was used to that.
yeah, I suppose from doing the live things. Yeah.
Going and leaving Killarney, I hadn't done in 2 years, so I got a train to Dublin. I've been a lockdown pregnant woman, so I hadn't left.
Yeah.
I hadn't barely left my house. So got a train to Dublin. Went and sang for Ronan Johnston as well. Was there from Den fame and from RTE, and I recognised him, and I was like, oh my God, is he going to be? He was doing the auditioning, and they were so lovely, and I was just excited to sing for people again, to be honest, and. It was great, and I got the call, and there was only, it was 32 people in it or something, I can't remember in total, but I got the call, and
still congratulations, it's great achievement.
Yeah, I was delighted,
to getting on it,
especially someone very different to what you'd expect, I guess. And then the recording of itself was just the nicest day. We were Ciara Rose we're great friends now.
Yeah.
She was MC at my launch. I mean,
That's the thing, you meet so many different people, isn't it? Like, you
Yeah.
know, and especially that are within the business and know exactly like how each other feel. And
that's a big part of it, I think.
Yeah.
Like meeting people who've been through this. And there's people on my episode that will always have that. Like even if we meet in 10 years' time, we'd be like, God, we will. Even if it's just one day, it's just such a big thing doing a TV program together. And I think you saw it, I had a very emotional performance. So I'll never forget that. I mean, I got to sing.
Reunion. With the lads, yeah.
I was quite emotional on TV. And I wasn't like that before. I was always very like controlled. And now I'm like, do you know what? Life's too short. Just be yourself. And I was so, because you could end up with any song on that, you know, it's that is daunting. I mean, they want really good singers because you could be singing anything. And I saw a song that I wanted to sing for my little girl. I did it because of her. Literally, I wouldn't have done it only for her, and I wanted to sing it for her. And thank God, it worked out really, really well. So that was, I have to say, genuinely just the most positive experience.
No, brilliant. Listen, and actually one of the other guys off, you probably know, Lee Tompkins, he sent me a message there last week, I think after he saw Ciara Rose on, and he's going to come on this show as well, like, which I'm delighted. It's great. Like, thanks very much for you coming along. Have you got your own website for people to find your material and stuff like that? Like, you know, or your music is out there for? It
is. It's gracefoley.ie is my website. On Facebook, Grace Foley Singer. On YouTube, Grace Foley Singer. I'm really original. On Instagram, it's Grace Foley Singer. And on Twitter, it's Grace F Singer, because that was too long, the other one. So Grace Foley Singer, you'll find me.
Brilliant. Find you everywhere. Listen, you're going to finish off this last song, the Phil Coulter one, is that?
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Listen, thanks a million for coming on.
Very
really
much.
nice to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Super. So there we go. Thanks very much, everybody, for tuning in as well. Like, you know, and if you haven't shared, please share, especially even for this last finale song that she's going to do. Lovely person, delighted to meet her. Only met her for the first time today, and what a singer. Grace Foley, over to you.
So for my finale, I'm going to sing a song that I've been in love with since I was about 15. Finally recorded it this year, and I'm going to sing it today. I'm dedicating it to all those we have lost in the last couple of years, especially, but most especially to my late cousin, Michael Crowley. This is Phil Coulter's Remember Me, Recuerda Me.
remarkable singing, and not so easy to talk to as well. I think we could have talked all night, Grace. Thank you very much for coming along. We appreciate it. Folks, before we wrap up today's show, there's something important I'd like to share with you. Today, the 10th of December, marks the International Human Rights Day, and on this day, 73 years ago, the United Nations officially adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the first global agreement in the history of mankind to proclaim that all human beings in the world have equal rights. The 30 rights which the Declaration lays out are simple but very powerful concepts, including the right to life, the right to privacy, the freedom to move, freedom of thought, the right to nationality, the right to education, and many more. All these are important, and we need to know and use them when we make decisions and in the ways that we treat others. Great materials on the subject are available free of charge at the Scientology Community Centre for anyone who wants to either know more about it or teach the subject. But the most important part of promoting human rights is putting them into practice. And the one human right which I'd like to highlight today is the right to food and shelter for all. Take a look at this short clip.
According to estimates, over 1 billion people live in appalling levels of poverty. Denied even basic standards of food, water. Nearly half of the world's population earns less than.
Well, it doesn't go away, especially during the Christmas period, which might be very tough for some. And food and shelter is an adequate standard of living, and it's just not just for those who can afford it, it's for all. It's a basic human right. That means we all, as a community, have the responsibility to ensure food and shelter is available and accessible for all of us. And that's exactly what our next week's show is all about. We will see right here on the stage a score of great artists coming together under the slogan, Artists United Against Homelessness. And it's in aid of a local community group taking care of homeless people and families in need. Sharing is Caring, Dublin 24, led by the extraordinary Linda Short-Martiza and her husband Mark. I ask you to tune in, donate and support this effort if you can. And it's important, especially at this time of Christmas, of course, as I say. All the work from everyone involved is done on an entirely volunteer basis, and 100% of all your donations will go straight to the charitable cause. And I'll leave you with a sneak peek of next week's show. Don't miss it. Same time, same place. See you then. Thank you.
Back to the corner where I first saw you. Gonna camp in my sleeping bag. I'm not gonna move. You are gonna go. The part of you that's me will never die.
When I think of what I lost, through neglect of what I had, all that hurting that I've caused you, love inside.
Be back home, good to be back home, I've been traveling a hard road.
So there must be a God above that led me straight to you. 'Cause I never believed in love until you taught me to.
God, it's just